It starts with a phone call that isn't supposed to happen. You're sitting in a quiet conference room on the 42nd floor of a Manhattan office tower reviewing the final numbers for a logistics acquisition. The deal is routine by your standards. Another company folded into a network you spent 2 decades quietly building. Shipping routes, private aircraft leasing, data infrastructure. All legal, all profitable. The kind of operations that turn a young financier into a billionaire by 45. Your assistant walks in without knocking. That alone tells you something is wrong. She places a phone on the table in front of you and leaves without saying a word.
The caller ID shows a number you don't recognize. You answer. The man on the other end doesn't introduce himself. He doesn't need to. "You've been named," he says. You know immediately what he means. The Epstein files. For months, rumors have been spreading that sealed records will finally be unsealed. Flight logs, contact lists, private correspondence, documents connecting names people once believed would stay hidden forever. Most of those names belong to men you know. Some belong to men who run governments. Some belong to men who run corporations larger than governments. And one of them belongs to you. The man on the phone tells you 2 things. First, the documents will become public within days. Second, the file connected to your name contains annotations suggesting you knew far more than most. He doesn't accuse you of crimes. He doesn't threaten you. But his final sentence carries something heavier than either. Everyone is asking the same question, he says. Why are the other men afraid of you? The line goes dead.
He said the world wasn't run by the men on television. It was run by the men who understood what other men feared being exposed for. You didn't like him, but you understood exactly what he meant. Leverage. Weeks later, he invited you to his Manhattan townhouse. Your instincts told you the man was dangerous, but curiosity is powerful. So you went. The meeting lasted 3 hours, and during those 3 hours you realized something very few people outside Epstein's inner circle ever understood.
He wasn't just collecting money. He was collecting secrets. Powerful men visited him for access to networks, to influence, to social circles that existed beyond ordinary power. But every visit left a trail. Photos, conversations, flight manifests, correspondence. You saw the pattern immediately. Epstein had built a library of leverage, and you understood something else. Libraries can change owners. That realization led to the decision that would eventually make your name the one everyone fears. You didn't try to become Epstein's friend. You became his investor. Quietly. You helped structure financial vehicles that funded parts of his network, not out of loyalty, out of opportunity, because the investment gave you something far more valuable than money. Access. Access to accountants, access to infrastructure, access to the digital systems where records were stored. Over time, you copied data. Not everything, only what mattered. Contacts, correspondence, evidence connecting powerful individuals to things they would never want exposed. You never used the information. You never sold it. You simply stored it. Because in a world where billionaires wage silent wars against each other, information is the only weapon that truly matters. Years later, Epstein was arrested. Most people assume the network would collapse, but systems like that don't collapse. They fragment. The moment the arrest became public, you activated a contingency plan. Encrypted copies of the archive were moved to private servers across multiple jurisdictions. Lawyers created a trust designed to release portions automatically if anything happened to you. The information became something more than leverage. It became insurance. For years, nothing happened. The scandal faded. Your name remained buried in sealed documents no one could access. Until now. Back in the conference room, your assistant returns. She places a tablet in front of you. News alerts are already spreading. Journalists are confirming that sealed Epstein records will soon be released. Your name isn't public yet, but it will be. You close the tablet. Your first decision is simple. You cancel every meeting for the next 48 hours. Your second decision is more important. You activate the network. Lawyers, cybersecurity experts, former investigators who understand exactly how reputations are destroyed. Within hours, the calls begin. Some come from journalists. You ignore them. Others come from men who once treated you like just another wealthy financier. Those calls you answer. The first is from a senator. "What do you have?" he asks. You answer truthfully, "Enough." The silence that follows tells you everything you need to know. Days later, the files are released. The media frenzy is immediate. Politicians, executives, royal figures, hundreds of names, yours among them. But something unexpected happens. Journalists begin circulating a rumor that you may possess information capable of implicating far more powerful people. Fear spreads quietly through elite circles, because men who believed their secrets died with Epstein now realize something terrifying they might not have. The calls multiply, some cautious, some hostile. One comes from a man who runs one of the largest private equity funds in the world. "You understand what happens if those files surface," he says. You do. Governments could fall, markets could panic, entire careers would vanish overnight. But that's exactly why no one wants them released. Your power doesn't come from using the information. It comes from the possibility that you might. Years pass. The scandal fades, but your reputation doesn't. In elite circles, your name becomes something unusual. Not admired, not infamous, feared. Because every powerful person knows the same thing. Somewhere in the world, a record of their secrets may exist, and it may belong to you. A journalist eventually asks the question everyone else avoids. Do you actually have evidence against powerful people? You look at her carefully before answering. Then you say something completely true. In a world built on secrets, you tell her, information always survives somewhere. Late one evening, you sit alone in your office overlooking Manhattan. Another security report has arrived. Another cyber intrusion attempt. Another government agency asking quiet questions. You close the report and stare out at the city. Years ago, you believed information would protect you. Now, you understand the truth. Information doesn't just create power, it creates responsibility. Because if the archive were ever released, the consequences would ripple across the world. Political systems could fracture. Financial markets could collapse. Reputations built over decades would disappear overnight. You hold a weapon capable of destabilizing the same system that made you rich, but you can never use it without destroying yourself as well. That paradox defines your life. You are the billionaire named in the Epstein files, the man everyone fears, not because of what you've done, but because of what you might know. And as long as that uncertainty exists, no one is willing to find out.